the world of true crime. From cold cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off in the fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know?
My name is Jade. This is Guilty of Crime.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. Today, we're doing Chad Daybell and the Doomsday cult. He's the Doomsday prophet, is what they say. I'm glad people are coming back. Hello, Carly and Stephanie. I'm listening to some feedback, and if you saw me earlier, I'm doing Deception Detective style. I hope Coach Complete comes on here today, because somebody said they wanted me to do the Deception Detective style, and I like it. It doesn't hurt my eyes when I have shades on. So we're doing that today. And, I've been on here every day. Well, today's Wednesday, and I have something planned for tomorrow, Friday, and then the vigil for Madeline Soto on Saturday. So I've got a lot on my plate. Today is a good kind of slow down day. Chad Daybell, if you followed the Lori Vallow case, then you know that that Chad Daybell is taking the follow, not the lead of Lori Vallow. Now, Lori Vallow did not blame Chad Daybell at all. I'm going to put this on and talk for a second, and then we're going to play some videos on what to expect from the trial coming up and what's going on, what we're talking about here, and then we'll listen to opening statements. Let me just put this on. I put this on the screen when I did the Lori Vallow case. Let me go a little bit, see if I go a little bigger without taking away the screen, just so I could talk about it. Actually, it took it away. So let's back up a little bit. So it's Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell. Right now, we're talking about Chad Daybell, and so you can see that this is quite a tangled web that we have going on. Hey, Stephanie and Sadie's mama, I'm glad you're back. I'm doing 3:00 today, which is a little bit different of a time, but I have shows for all week long, and that's exhausting because I work all day and I have 2 kids to tend to, the normal stuff. But I like doing Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow Daybell because I was so intertwined with the cases as far as listening to them and being there for everything as the news broke. I watched Nate Eaton go to Hawaii and say, "Where are the kids? Where are the kids?" That was the famous saying, and Nate Eaton made it onto the documentaries that we see everywhere. He was actually out helping look for the kids. So yeah, Sadie's mama dinner sounds amazing. Mashed potato meatballs. That sounds good. Food sounds good. I'm always hungry. Yes, Rita, you made it to the live. Hello. I'm on at 3:00 instead of 4 today. Sometimes I come on at 6. You never know what you're going to get. I try to be consistent, but I've been on every day. So, all right. So let's talk about this, and then we're going to listen to what to expect from the jury. Just to let you know, tomorrow is going to be Sebastian Rogers. There's a little bit of new information, and then we're going to listen to the interviews. I had somebody come on my page about Sebastian Rogers, and I think they're on the side of the Proudfoots, talking about suing the people that are talking about the Proudfoots and so forth and so forth. They can go away with that. So that's going to be tomorrow. Then Friday, we're going to go over the vigil. If you're going to the vigil for Madeline Soto, please be mindful of the parking and lots of things, what you bring and how to go about that. We'll go and I'll play a video from Jenny Escovel. Then Saturday, we're actually going to stream the vigil. I'm in California. The vigil is going to be in Florida. I was invited to go out there, but we don't have tickets and it's going to be a lot of money. So I just want you to kind of understand what the schedule looks like this week as we get into this Chad Daybell trial. Jessica Park says, I'll never understand the Mormons, especially Joseph Smith, who made up a new religion because he wanted to screw another woman. Well, you just said this for me in a nutshell. All of this, all of you see all over my tangled web, that was basically summed it up. Chad Daybell wanted to screw Lori Daybell, and he did. Okay, so I'll leave that up because the reason they even met was him flirting with Chad Daybell, flirting with Lori Vallow, which is now Vallow Daybell. You guys all know this case already. Chad was already doing all this kind of things and flirting with all of these women that were in his group. That's how he became a prophet, a bad prophet at that. If you listen to his scriptures and his readings, they're really boring and like just annoying. I don't even like to listen to them. I think that's why some people say the Chad Daybell trial is going to be boring. It's absolutely not boring. So Chad was married to Tammy from 1990 to 2019. He offed her. He's on trial for killing Tammy. They married 2 weeks later. And before that, he was flirting with all these other people that he had in his group. Those are his 5 children that are all mixed up. These are his followers. And that's Lori's sister. And then you got Kay and Larry. I'm going to play a clip from Larry. He's also at the trial, the Woodcocks, the grandparents of the victims, Tylee and JJ. So there's all kinds of stuff. There's Lori Vallow, her first husband, second, third, fourth, and then the 5th husband here. So a lot of stuff going on there that I don't think is boring at all. That's actually crazy that anyone would say that the trial is boring. So now you see, I did an introduction earlier on who Chad Daybell is. You probably already know. And we're doing it deception detective style. Someone's got to tell him that I need his hat. We look that way or that way. However he's doing. Does he look that way? Kind of does it to the side. All right. So we're going to do it that way. Let's bend my hat a little bit here. All right. Where Joseph Smith started out of Utah, man, they got the Mormon groups and they come up with their own cults and they do terrible things to people. All right. So we're going to get into what we're talking about today, and we're going to do opening statements and a bunch of other, you're going to see a bunch of other people and things going on here. So let's get to that, because now that jury's selected, we're going to see what to expect. Let's go, everybody. Hello, crime crew. I'll talk to you while we're watching this.
And I don't know that it's necessarily true, that a lot of jurors actually make up their minds after the opening remarks.
The jurors are set, and we are now less than 36 hours from the beginning of Chad Daybell's trial in Boise, Idaho. The trial is one of the most watched cases in the country, and this week all eyes will be on opening arguments.
Yeah, this case comes nearly 1 year after Lori Vallow Daybell was found guilty in that very same courthouse. News specialist Debbie Worthen joined us live in the newsroom tonight. Debbie, Wednesday is a big, big day for those involved.
Oh, it sure is. It's so important because according to KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas, it's the day some jurors may actually decide how they really feel about Chad Daybell and the crimes he's charged with. Tonight, those 10 men and 8 women go to bed knowing that they will spend what's expected to be the next few months with a man's life in their hands. Chad Daybell faces charges of murdering J.J. Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and his late wife, Tammy Daybell. His trial is expected to last longer than his wife Lori's because he faces the death penalty if found guilty. Now, a jury found Lori guilty back in May. She was sentenced to consecutive life sentences in July.
Anytime you have a trial of this magnitude, the opening statements, the opening day are very, very important.
And that's why it was important for me to come today, because it's opening statements. This is going to blow everything out of the water on this case. They're the most important part of the trial. Now, we'll do trial highlights, but it's going to be 10 weeks. So opening statements are very important. When Delphi comes, the opening statements, I believe America and the world, all eyes will be on trial. So this trial is near and dear to me because I've been following it since day one, both Chad and Lori. And yeah, it's just good. It's just big.
You've got a jury of 18 people who are going to be sitting there wanting to know from both the state and the defense what they're going to be expected to hear, what they're going to hear, and how the trial is going to unfold.
Now, Chad's trial is expected to take much longer than Lori's, according to Skordas, because it is a capital murder case, which means if convicted, the jury will then decide if he should get the death penalty. Also, Skordas says Lori's team didn't call a single witness to testify, not even Lori herself, believing the state had insufficient evidence to convict. And Skordas says that was an obvious mistake that Chad's lawyers learned from. Mike, back to you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to compare these two trials as things play out. Debbie, thank you. KSO will have crews.
All right. And we're going to compare the two, everybody. We are going to compare the two. We absolutely are. I'll tell you the number one thing about these trials are Lori Vallow Daybell, no matter how mentally crazy she is, did not throw Chad under the bus at all. And the entire time she did not want to sever the two. She wanted to keep the trials together. And she did not let her lawyer say anything bad about Chad. That's the number one thing. Chad is going to throw her under the bus hard. When you listen to this, you're going to hear he doesn't give a shit about Lori. All he wanted to do was get into Lori's pants, and he did the job. He wanted to get in her pants. His kids were all grown up, and her kids weren't, and he wanted to get rid of them. So that's what happened. Sex, money, and power are the things that happened in the Lori Vallow trial. We're going to hear the same things here, except hopefully we'll get Melanie Gibbs, because last time, well, Melanie Gibbs was there. There's another one. I can't remember her name right now, but we're going to find out. It is Melanie Boudreau, who tried to kill Brandon Boudreau with Alex Cox and Lori Daybell, and Chad Daybell. Chad Daybell was behind it all. So there's going to be some things here that we did not hear in Lori Vallow's case, and that's because Chad doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care who goes down or what. He just doesn't want to be the fall guy here. He wants to blame it on Lori. So let's go to the next video, and then we'll get to opening statements.
They've got a hard job coming up. They're going to see, hear, and feel and show emotion, or they're not probably allowed to show emotions. But they're going to have a hard job to do.
That is Larry Woodcock, the grandfather of J.J. Vallow. J.J. and his sister Tylee Ryan, they were found dead in the summer of 2020 after going missing in the fall of 2019. Their mother, Lori Vallow, was convicted of their murders last spring. On trial now, her fifth and current husband, Chad Daybell. He is charged in their murders, along with the murder of his late wife, Tammy Daybell. And Chad Daybell's trial got underway in Ada County last week. Today, to kick off the week, the court has announced that a jury has been selected, 10 men and 8 women, and they were chosen out of the 57-person jury pool that was put together last week. This morning, the state and defense worked to issue their preemptory strikes, and that's where they worked to whittle down the jury pool to that 18 number. And again, that's 12 jurors and 6 alternates just in case. Each side had 16 strikes where they could eliminate a potential juror until they got down to 18. After the jury was selected, we spoke with Larry about what he thinks the differences will be with Chad's trial compared to Lori's.
It's going to be tough, but I don't anticipate it being as rigorous, emotionally involved as it was with Lori's trial. So I'm hoping.
I hope you all watched the Lori Vallow Daybell trial, because she literally is just batshit crazy. At some point, I want to play that again, her statement at the end where she says accidents happen, overdoses happen. I don't even know. Dude, she's fucking crazy. All right, let's keep going. We got a while.
That comes to fruition with us.
And new today, opening statements are now scheduled for Wednesday of this week. Trial is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks.
All right. Yeah. Lori Vallow is not going to change her mind, everybody. I don't know why she's obsessed with this man, but she is. All right. Let's hold on real quick. I'm going to pull up the next video, and I don't know what happened to it right now. Yeah, Lori Vallow is not going to change her mind. I highly doubt it. She's still in that delusional state where she believes that that Chad Daybell is going to, or maybe that he's coming to visit her right now. She thinks that they meet up at night and all kinds of crazy stuff. She's still thinking about the portals and such. So I doubt she'll come. That would be a real shocking surprise if she did. Let's listen to what we're gonna get into here, and then we're gonna listen to opening statements. And all the fluff is cut out by true crime, grisly true crime.
Thank you. Please be seated.
A trial is underway this week in Boise in a case that has captivated the attention of people around the world since 2019. Prosecutors say that this triple murder trial involves weird claims of a doomsday-focused religious beliefs, and that a couple used those beliefs to justify the deaths of 3 people, 2 kids, and a Southern Idaho woman. Prosecutors say that Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell conspired together to kill her 2 youngest kids and his late wife so that they could be together without any encumbrances. The 2 children were reported missing in the fall of 2019, and investigators searched for months before they found the bodies of the 2 kids buried in Chad Daybell's yard. Chad Daybell's late wife, Tammy Daybell, reportedly died in her sleep that same fall, but investigators became suspicious after he married Lori Vallow Daybell
2
just
weeks
a couple
later.
weeks later. And they exhumed the body, and the prosecutors say that an autopsy showed that she actually died of asphyxiation. Lori was tried on these charges last year and was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Originally, prosecutors wanted to try both Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow Daybell together, but Chad Daybell's prosecutors successfully argued to have the case split, in part because he said there would be mutually antagonistic defenses, which
Antagonistic means that the storm is going against Lori Vallow. That storm no longer is going on. That's all he wanted to do was feed the storm. It's a whole bunch of sexual innuendo and him talking about how he's going to just ravage her and all this crazy stuff. That ugly man that looks like Chud. I just call him Chud instead of Chad. So just ridiculousness. People lost their lives for it, and I really want to get to the bottom of it, and I want him to be convicted and get the death penalty.
which is a legal term that generally means the jury would have to disbelieve one defendant in order to believe another defendant's claim of what occurred. Friends of the couple said that they claimed that they could tell if people had been taken over by dark spirits, possessed in a way, and that if somebody was taken over by a dark spirit, sometimes the only way to free that person was to kill their body so that their soul could escape some sort of limbo and go on to heaven.
All right, so
They've
now
got a hard
we already
job.
listened. They do have a hard job. Those jurors are gonna have something else. So let's stop this, and we're gonna now bring on my favorite YouTube personality. You guys all know Gisela from Grizzly True Crime. I know you do. So she takes out of all the fluff, and then she also let me put her on, and then she timestamp stuff. She cleans out all the junk for us so we don't have to listen to it. And yes, Stephanie, Chad is a total chud. I bet you his storm is only this big. I guarantee you his storm is only this big, and his belly covers the storm. So he can't even get to the storm half the time. Lori Vallow, this is a fact. Cleaned him up, did his hair, and dressed him correctly. And it was in the text messages when they read them. They read the text message and said, "Oh, you just need a little bit of work. We'll change your clothes and we'll do." She was a hairstylist. So she made him actually presentable. And now this man with his storm is running around thinking he's big shit. And he severed the trial so that he can blame her. Let's listen to opening statements. Rob Wood, Day 1, Chad Bell trial opening statements with True Crime Grizzly Gisela.
Upon learning she would not receive that insurance money, Lori would text Chad, "I'll still get the $4,000 a month from SS, meaning Social Security." Chad replied to her in a text that read, "It will be interesting to see if it got changed after he had 2 bullets in his chest." Tylee Ryan, also branded Dark and a zombie, was last seen on September 8, 2019. Subsequent investigations revealed the horrifying truth. Her remains, charred and dismembered, were found in a grave on Chad Daybell's property. Without Charles's $1 million in insurance money to support them, Lori Vallow continued to illegally receive Tylee's Social Security benefits, provided after the death of Tylee's biological father, who had been Lori's third.
You see, they're already starting to blame Lori. Now, just real quick, the prosecution has to, this is a prosecution, Rob Wood with opening statements. They fought it out in court behind the scenes. And John Prior, who's Chad Daybell's lawyer, said they have to follow the same narrative they followed in her trial. They can't go against that. And the judge agreed. So that's why Chad's throwing her under the bus. They're following that narrative and they're going to push it all the way.
According to this defendant, J.J. Vallow, Lori's son, was also possessed. After he was labeled as a dark entity, his fate was no less tragic than his sister's. His young wife was also claimed. Later, his bound body was discovered buried in Chad's backyard, his death by suffocation. Yet while J.J. was missing, Lori continued to illegally receive J.J.'s Social Security benefit, money provided by Charles Vallow's dad. Tammy Daybell, a vivacious, healthy mother, was another individual labeled as a dark spirit to be removed. On October 9th of 2019, she reported being shot at night near her home by a man covered in black. She thought it was a paintball gun. On October 19th, 10 days later, she died in her own home with her husband present. This was soon after an increase in the value of her life insurance to more than $400,000. This defendant rapidly cashed in that life insurance and began looking for condos in Hawaii with Lori. You'll see the rental application he submitted for a couple with no kids. Medical examiners would later determine that the only reasonable explanation for Tammy's death was not of natural causes, but rather a homicide. In fact, you will hear from multiple witnesses that Chad predicted multiple times that Tammy would die of an early death. Chapter 5. 17 days after his wife's death, Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow got married and celebrated on a beach in Hawaii, symbolizing what he called their eternal union. Chad and Lori were preparing their wedding well before Tammy's death. Lori was shopping for wedding rings while Tammy was still alive. Now, without the earthly obstacles of spouses and young children, and with Tammy's insurance policy and the children's Social Security funds, they could live the life that Chad and Lori wanted. Nothing was going to stand in their way. Chapter 6. Unfortunately for this defendant, reality soon shattered their bliss.
They had a big
Two
financial
things led law enforcement to his and Lori's door. On October 2nd, 2019, Lori Vallow's nephew.
money, sex, and power. Just remember that through the whole trial, whether you're with me or not. Money, sex, and power. Money was a huge motivator. Tammy Daybell had almost $500,000 in life insurance policies, and Chad collected on them. So he's being tried for that as well as the 3 deaths of J.J. Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and Tammy Daybell. Okay, so it's money, the sex with Lori, and the power of being a prophet, cult leader.
A man named Brandon Boudreaux was shot at in Arizona by someone from what he believed was Tylee's Jeep. Law enforcement in Arizona investigating Brandon's shooting contacted law enforcement in Fremont County, Idaho, to look for Alex Cox and for Tylee's Jeep. And you'll hear that Jeep was later found in Rexford, Idaho, in Madison County. Meanwhile, J.J. Vallow's grandmother, concerned that she hadn't seen or heard from him in months, asked police for help. The police followed up and located Lori in Rexford, Idaho, where the police did a welfare check at Lori's apartment. Law enforcement arrived at Lori's door on November 26, 2019. When asked about Lori, Chad first told law enforcement he didn't know her very well, despite the fact that they were married and had been in a relationship for over a year. Lies by Lori to police about JJ and Tylee's whereabouts, and then a move to Hawaii, and Lori's unwillingness to present her children to law enforcement to prove their well-being led to her arrest and extradition.
Just going to do a quick pause. I hope I'm not too loud compared to the audio. The audio
is terrible.
The courtroom is so terrible. I've tried to just tweak it a bit and boost it a bit, but it sounds like we're underwater just about.
Well, you're doing a better job.
Forensic Fury says earbuds are helping here. Earbuds help a little.
She's doing a way better job than if we were watching it from Court TV, and all the other Zoom streams are terrible, everybody. So that's why I went here. I wanted you to have the best audio and the best video you could. And Grizzly True Crime does that. I absolutely love her. She is over 250,000 followers. Go watch her. I love her. And I can't say that enough. Thank you, Gizela.
Little bit, but that microphone, my goodness. Okay, we're just having a quick pause during opening statements to talk about the microphone. Can't they get better mics? Come on, people. Anyway, so I hope that you can hear generally what they're doing is describing the timeline, which we've gone over many times as well. So thankfully, if you've been following the case, you're not missing too much so far. Okay, I think this attorney's name is Rob Wood. There's 4 state prosecutors and there's 1 defense attorney. Okay. So yeah, Stefan says, even his cheap tie is more expensive than his mic. G. I know, right? I know. Okay, so let's just do our best. There's nothing more I can do with this audio, even with a boost. Shame. Okay, so let's try.
As Lori refused to produce her children, law enforcement continued their search for Tylee and JJ. During that search, they located a unique text message that this defendant, Chad Daybell, had sent to his wife, Tammy, on September 9th, 2019, which was the day after Tylee Ryan's last known appearance. You'll hear from the FBI agent who found that message, but this message seemed longer than his usual text to Tammy, and it had a more conversational tone. In that text, Chad claimed he had an interesting warning, that he'd shot a raccoon, that he'd buried it in what they call the pet cemetery.
That's how he gets caught, everybody. That's why they go to his backyard. If you're not watching this, if you haven't followed it, he sent that text message to his wife that he killed later on, Tammy Daybell, and he said, don't worry, I'm in the backyard. I shot a raccoon. I'm burying it. That's where the kids were found. So the kids equal a raccoon. This man is sick, everybody.
And that he'd had a fire on the property where he burned some wood debris. When law enforcement finally went to the defendant's property the following June, they didn't find a raccoon. They found Tylee's burnt remains that were buried in that cemetery. And they found JJ nearby, buried under a tree near a pond. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been told this will be a lengthy trial. You will hear from many witnesses. You will hear a lot of evidence. You're going to hear a lot of dates. The following is just a timeline of major events to help understand when these things took place. October 26, 2018, Chad and Lori meet in St. George, Utah.
This goes way back.
July 11, 2019, Charles Vallow, Lori's husband, shot and killed by Alex Cox. Between August 31st and September 1st, Lori, Alex Cox, and Tylee and JJ moved to Rexburg, Idaho, just a few miles south of the defendant's home. Tylee's last known sighting was September 8, 2019. The text I just spoke of about the raccoon was sent by the defendant to his wife September 9th, 2019. JJ's last known sighting you'll hear about September 22nd. The attempted homicide of Brandon Boudreaux in Arizona was October 2nd. The shooting I mentioned of Tammy, the shooting at her, the unsuccessful shooting.
Again, sorry about the audio. True Crime Grizzly did her very best to get it right. If you go watch it yourself, it's terrible. And yeah, self-defense is how he got away with it. We're talking about Alex Cox, who's now dead. He killed Lori Vallow's 4th husband. and got away with it. The cops didn't know all of this then. That's how he got away with it.
October 9th, 2019. Tammy's death, October 19th, 2019. 17 days later, Chad and Lori marry in Hawaii. Law enforcement did a welfare check looking for JJ November 26, 2019 in Rexford, Idaho. November 26th and 27th, Chad and Lori leave town. June 9th, 2020, Tylee and JJ's remains are found on Chad's property.
I did think the prosecution was going to come swinging. Honestly, I thought they were going to come in just swinging with passion and really like how I'm excited. And I just want to get this guy on death row. He's doing a good job of explaining it, but I just don't feel the passion behind it. But when you hear the defense, I don't understand what he's even saying, like what he's using as a defense, really.
As I said, you're going to hear a lot of evidence from a lot of witnesses. And there's going to be kind of different groups of evidence you're going to hear from. You'll hear from law enforcement, some of whom will give you a broad overview of the investigation and what they did, how the search for Tylee and JJ drew to a case of murder. You'll hear how it began by people who knew Lori and Chad, the James and Elena. You'll hear about the James and Elena story and about their relationship with each other and how they pursued their dream, their plan for a life together. You'll hear in the defendant's own words, people referred to as obstacles, how they need to be gotten rid of. You're going to hear financial evidence. You'll hear from an FBI forensic accountant and a detective, a Social Security administrator.
You know, they should have just done the trial together. This is such a waste of money. It's going to be explosive, but what a waste of money. And again, thanks, True Crime. She sits here all day. Gizella.
Investigator who will talk about the finances involved in this case. You'll hear more from law enforcement, from multiple law enforcement agencies, the Rexford Police, the Fremont County Sheriff's Department, the FBI, Social Security Administration, about the investigation into these crimes. You will see forensic evidence. You'll see DNA testing to identify the body of Tylee. You'll see DNA testing that showed DNA from Tylee was found on at least 2 tools in the defendant's shed. You'll hear digital evidence dealing with geolocation data tied to certain phones that were used in this case. You'll hear from Hawaii law enforcement about searches they performed in Hawaii on the defendant and his wife. And finally, you will hear many of this defendant's own words. You will hear voice recordings of this defendant. You'll hear, recorded phone calls between him and his wife, Lori Vallow. You'll read multiple texts that he and Lori sent back. Another text he sent.
Yeah, this audio's.
Chapter 9, what's unwritten. The defendant stands before you today, charged with multiple crimes. First-degree murder for the death of Tammy Daybell.
His wife.
First-degree murder for the death of Tylee Ryan. First-degree murder for the death of JJ Vallow.
3 murders.
Conspiracy to commit murder of Tammy Daybell. Conspiracy to commit murder and grand theft by deception, the death of Tylee Ryan. Conspiracy to commit murder and grand theft by deception for the death of JJ Vallow. And insurance fraud.
There you go. The money, everybody. Money,
2 dead children.
Power.
Buried in this defendant's backyard. The next month, his wife, dead in their bed.
That's so ultimate
17
betrayal.
days later, this defendant marries Lori Vallow. Members of the jury, days or probably weeks from now, when the evidence in this trial is fully unfolded, we will have the opportunity to speak with you again. And at that time, we will ask you to end this horrible narrative. Your verdict will be the link that writes the final chapter of this tragic saga. A chapter that delivers justice for Tammy, justice for JJ, and justice for Tylee. Thank you.
I thought it was going to be more.
That wasn't very long. Okay.
I'm glad it wasn't that long, but I
Defense
thought it,
time. Let's just
yeah,
quickly.
I thought it was going to be
Thank
better.
you, Mr. Wood. That will conclude the opening statement of the state. Mr. Pryor, a couple.
What did you guys think? That was kind of weak, huh? I mean, we heard stuff, but if you were a jury that knew nothing about this case, what do you think about that opening statement? I just, this case I've been waiting for a long time. I watched the Lori Vallow case. I thought it would be more. So here you go. Tell me what you think.
Questions. First, is the defense going to give an opening statement now or defer until later?
Now.
Second, if you are going to give an opening statement, would we take a mid-morning recess or go forward?
Judge, could we take a short recess? I have
Okay, I think this is a good time.
Yeah,
for
right.
our mid-morning break. We'll go ahead and take that now. And then once that's concluded, Mr. Pryor can give his opening statement to the defense. All rise.
Okay.
It took me longer to explain this damn case to you guys than the opening statement. And I love Gisela because she's like, you'll hear it in a second. And it's true. Why the heck do you need a break? You only went for like 30 minutes, guys. But it's okay. We're going to defluff all this.
And there we go. Okay, so hold on 1 second, please. Let me take this off for us quickly. Sorry, I just quickly want to make sure that I've got space to show you things. Just wait. We're going to do this and we're going to wait. They're taking a mid-morning break now.
It's
they
not
just
long.
got started. You don't need a break, people.
Exactly.
Just get to it, okay? Anyway, I have a presentation for you. Let me fetch it quickly. Thank you all for being here. Glad we could see the state's opening statements. Right? With a crappy microphone. Oh dear. It was a pretty simple, a pretty simple opening.
Yeah, she's trying to be nice. And Jessica Parks, you're right. Real trials are a disappointment. A lot of times they go for 8 to 10 weeks sometimes, and you got to sift through all the bullshit and you got to sit there. So I give this lady, Grizzly True Crime, lots of credit for sitting there, being patient, editing all this stuff out. She waits till a little bit later and then she follows the trial. Bless her heart. Even if I didn't work all day, I could not do that. So thank you to her for bringing this to us. And, I talked to her earlier and she was more than fine than letting me share this with you guys. So
surprisingly not very emotive. I agree with that. It was a little bit, I don't know. What do you think about it? In my opinion, I don't know if it's like that impactful. I mean, the jury is hearing this for the first time. But yes, they've got so much evidence, right? I feel like in Lori Vallow Daybell's trial, the opening statements were much more memorable. Remember, they started with money, power, and sex.
Yes,
That's
money,
what Lori
power,
Vallow was
sex.
after.
They have
at all
book now.
cost. So that was very good. Okay, now presentation time. Here we go. So.
Agreed.
Okay, Chad Daybell.
Chad Daybell. I'm going to let her talk about this because she does a really good job. And then I also want her to talk about the judge. And Carly, you're right. She's an accomplished as a human. When she first started doing this true crime stuff, she would drink on here and get a little loose. She stopped drinking. She has some anxiety. She got her stuff right. This is what she tells everybody. And she doesn't go on here and complain. She does her job and she's really nice to everybody and she's civil. She doesn't come on and air her dirty laundry. I love you, Miss Grizzly.
Trial. That's what we're busy watching. In case you didn't know, welcome. Okay, my name is Gisela K. This is Grizzly True Crime. Welcome to it, especially if you are new. Hope you'll consider subscribing and becoming part of this community.
Yes.
Now, with this trial, as I've said many times before, in case you missed it, I'm not going to be streaming the entire trial. It's 8 to 10 weeks long, and I'm going to be doing highlights, recaps, shorts, community posts, videos, live stream, whatever, all the things, but I'm not going to be streaming it.
All right. Well, we're going to push it a little bit forward. So
Greedy.
Need to know all that. But
55 years old.
There you go, everybody.
I didn't write Lori Vallow's age there, isn't she? 49. Lori Vallow age. Oh, she's 50 now. Okay. So, first degree, Chad Daybell, first degree murder of JJ Vallow, first degree murder. These are the charges he's facing.
We heard all this, so we're going to get to that. We're going to try to.
There. JJ Vallow, 7 years old, died September 23rd of 2019. And he was also asphyxiated, but it's terrible. The details of the children's deaths, what we heard from the first trial. Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna go to defense.
Okay.
You all are here to hear the defense. Let's hear it. What is he gonna say?
We've concluded our morning recess. We're back on the record on KCR 22-21-16-23, State of Idaho versus Tylee Daybell. This is the time we'll next have opening statements by the defense. Mr. Pryor, is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. May I have the post permission to enter the well?
You may.
Thank you.
This lawyer is something else. I don't like him, but let's hear what the defense has to say for themselves.
And maybe check that microphone to make sure it is working. Okay?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As an introduction, I'm John Prior. I'm the defense attorney for Mr. Daybell. And I'm from Meridian, Idaho. I'm an attorney from Meridian, Idaho. We're here on the west side of the state. I want to talk to you a little bit today. And at my age, video presentations are not something that would come easy to me. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about my view of the case and the facts and evidence.
Because I don't know what else to do.
And what's important are facts and evidence. I think that when we went through the jury selection process, we talked about facts and we talked about evidence. And the judge gave you an instruction to talk to you a little bit about you take into consideration the facts of this case and not be distracted by other things. Don't be distracted by speculation. Don't be distracted by guesses or assumptions or hunches. It all comes down to facts and evidence.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want you to know John Prior is not death penalty certified. And you don't have to be death penalty certified if you're a private lawyer. So Chad gave him the deed to his house, which was about $500,000. And that's why he took the case. He ran out of money. He doesn't really want to do this. And he's not death penalty certified. So I'll stop interrupting. Go ahead.
So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the facts and evidence in this case. Chad Daybell, and I'm learning this, and I've had some time to learn about this because it didn't come natural to me. But Chad Daybell went on what's called a mission early on in his life. And I guess what a mission is, I'm not familiar with that, but I guess what a mission is they go away.
So bad.
And they talk to people about their religious beliefs. And Chad's faith, that was important as part of his faith. And when they return from these missions, they start the process of moving on with their lives. And when Chad got back from doing his mission in New Jersey, he met Tammy Daybell. Another fact that I discovered, and you'll hear a little bit about, is that Chad had an extended engagement.
He's flailing.
Extended by his faith standards, romance before they got married.
So bad.
Chad and Tammy dated for approximately 6 months. And what I understand is by their nature, 6 months is an extended dating process before you end up getting married. So after 6 months, they got married. They were married in Utah and proceeded then to have children. They have 5 children, now all 5 adult children. At some point, they moved back here to Idaho, or moved to Idaho, and they started a small publishing company. And you'll hear testimony that the publishing company was predominantly run by Tammy. Tammy managed it. Tammy was the brains behind the company. And Tammy basically took the reins and did everything that was necessary to move this publishing company. It was a small publishing company, a very small publishing company. And what they did is basically publish books. Chad would write these books.
So
he would write these books
bad.
about his religious experiences in his faith.
I could have done a better job than this, everybody. I could have went to Wikipedia and done this. I would have done it for $500,000, everybody.
He had certain beliefs, faith that he practiced. You know, when he went on his mission, when he, read his interpretation of the books that he used for his faith, he started writing books about things that were consistent with his faith. Things like premonitions. We've all heard of premonitions, about being able to predict things, about being able to see maybe when things happen. And some people believe in that, some people don't. Some people have personally experienced that, where I've been here before. But he writes about his premonitions. He writes about good and evil. what it means to be good, what it means to be evil. He writes about dark and light. He writes about subjects that are a little darker, like death, and maybe the coming of the end of things, and when his savior in his mind is going to come back, and maybe there'll be some kind of a redemption of some sort.
I'm sorry, everybody. Like, I can't stop laughing at your comments. This is terrible. I didn't watch it earlier. I watched the opening statements because I was waiting for some like rock'em sock'em, like someone come out and like, he did this, he killed them, they were in his backyard, the kids were dead, he's a grave digger, he dug the graves, end of story. Bunch of people killed. That didn't happen. Now we got this guy reading from Wikipedia for $500,000. You know, I'm from Idaho, and Chad Daybell wrote some books. All right, sorry. Keep going. This is awful.
But his books covered a lot of subjects like that, and they were all based on fiction. In other words, he was writing these books about theories and things that came into his head, and he would write these stories. But he also wrote children's books, and he wrote books for teenagers. And he wrote these books about adventures and then you know, some crazy ideas about things that kids and teenagers get involved in.
What is he saying? What is he?
About October of 2018, Chad was going out and he was invited by one of the witnesses that you'll hear in this case to speak about his books. And this was not uncommon. He would travel and he would be asked to say, well, come and talk about some of the things that you believe in. You've talked about these premonitions, some life experiences. You're going to hear testimony about that. And he was invited on one particular occasion in late October. And he attended this, and while he was there trying to sell his books, and like most of us who are business people,
I'd have done it. He's a business
the focus
person.
of these meetings really was for Chad to try to get his books published, because that's how he made a living.
What's the
And
defense?
he was there in one of his booths trying to promote his books, and he laid them out there. And this beautifully stunning woman,
Here it is.
named Lori Vallow, comes up,
The defense.
and she starts giving him a lot of attention.
No,
And she
sir.
pursued him. And she
So we know-
encouraged him. You'll hear testimony that she went so far as to grab behind the booth and sort of help him in trying to sell some of his books.
Did she grab his storm?
She obviously had an interest, and maybe she felt that he was this publisher, or maybe she had an opinion. You'll hear testimony about that. And then after the seminar, there was a length of time where there was no contact between the two of them. Month and a half, 2 months. And during that time, Chad Daybell went on his day-to-day life.
He's
been
throwing her,
married to Tammy for some 29 years.
throwing her
Has
under the
no
bus.
remarkable background of any kind. I think the testimony we'll offer will show I think he had a speeding ticket in 2005. But Lori Vallow was a different story. Lori Vallow was someone who, right out of high school, married her first husband. You'll hear testimony about this. That marriage was very short-lived. Very short-lived. She then married husband number 2 a few years later. Short-lived. And again, very short-lived marriage. And there's some testimony indication that there were some problems with the marriage that caused the breakup. But the concern.
Breaking news in the middle of Chad Daybell's trial. Someone fell asleep during Apple River, according to the prosecution. That's more interesting than this guy. I think he just doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not death penalty certified. And I feel like the defense is definitely to throw Lori Vallow under the bus. Look at Gisela's face over there. She's like, what is this man talking about? In her voice.
The theme seems to be that Lori's brother, Alex, we're going to hear about Alex Cox. Alex Cox was Lori's protector. Alex Cox would do anything and everything to protect, aid, and assist Lori Vallow in whatever her endeavors, without unbridled question, anything. And if Alex Cox even perceived that there was a problem, Alex Cox reacted.
That's why Alex Cox is dead.
You're going to hear testimony that in 2007, I believe it was in August of 2007, Lori Vallow had finished up going through her third marriage with Joseph Ryan.
Blame.
It was a tumultuous, you'll hear testimony that it was a tumultuous marriage. A terrible marriage. Lori Vallow made accusations against Joseph Ryan of abusing their child, Tylee.
What does that have to do? What?
And during one of the visits of 2007, folks, and I want to tell you, you're going to hear testimony that in 2007, Chad Daybell didn't even know Lori Vallow existed. But Alex Cox,
What does that have to do with
after
it?
one of the exchanges and the visitations with Tylee, Alex Cox approached Joseph Ryan and shot him with a taser.
Right.
And assaulted him. Was eventually charged with aggravated assault. Was eventually put in jail and had this on his record. And there was representation, the facts would suggest that at the time Joseph Ryan feared for his life. This was a serious situation. But it set the pattern for what we're dealing with Alex Cox. Whenever there was a problem or a threat to Lori Vallow, you'll hear testimony that Alex Cox.
Okay, now I'm catching the defense. He's blaming Lori Vallow and Alex Cox. Lori Vallow is convicted and Alex Cox is dead. I see where he's going. I know he's using Wikipedia to do his opening statement, but yeah.
Came to the rescue. But Alex Cox would run without even question and do whatever was necessary to solve Lori Vallow's problems. We're going to fast forward then to 2019. Lori Vallow is still married to Charles Vallow.
Exactly.
And the prosecuting attorney mentioned this. Yes, Chad.
Keep that in mind, everybody. Susan Akers is correct. The jury didn't even know they existed. The jury knows nothing about this case, and that's what this man is talking about. It makes zero sense at all what he's even saying. Let's keep watching. It's funny.
Daybell at that point was coming in January and February, started to have communications with Lori Vallow. And yes, folks, it turned into an inappropriate relationship. 2019 forward. And yes, he was engaging in discussions. He was engaging in contact with her, all of the things that the prosecutor talked about in terms of a relationship. But subsequent to the seriousness of this relationship getting rolling, Alex Cox was at a visitation in 2019 with Charles Vallow. And Lori Vallow was there. Tammy Ryan was there.
She grabbed him by the storm.
was there. They were all present.
And then they were
And during
raccoons.
that altercation and that supposed visit, much like with Joseph Ryan, Alex Cox took out a gun and shot Charles Vallow.
Okay, what does that have to do with this
And then
case?
after calling 911,
What?
he then finished the job and walked up to him at close range, finished him off.
She's on trial in another state for that.
Now, you're going to hear testimony that in some way Chad Daybell was implicated in that. And you're going to hear further testimony that he was not.
All right, if you're a juror, everybody, you're going to be confused. Hold on, I don't know what I just did. Sorry about that. I'm confused too. Hold on, real quick. Let me get back to the. We're all confused. Oh my goodness! All right, we'll go back.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. I'm sorry.
Lori Vallow had finished up going through her third marriage with Joseph Ryan.
All right, we're a little bit more
It
than
was a
that.
tumultuous.
What are you talking about?
And you've heard discussion about the backyard of Chad Daybell. Well,
There we are.
4.5 acre farm
Okay.
in Fremont County, Idaho. And you'll hear testimony that the body of J.J. Vallow was discovered behind an irrigation pond and a tree out in the pasture. So technically, yes, maybe the backyard, but more accurately described as the pasture, hidden behind a tree. You're going to hear testimony that also in the middle of this pasture was a raspberry patch, former raspberry patch, that was then turned into a place for them to bury the cats, the dogs, and all of the animals on the farm.
The raccoons. Don't forget.
Again, out in the pasture of the field and not the backyard. You hear testimony about that. You're going to hear from 4 experts that I'm going to bring forward. And these 4 experts, the first one is going to be Dr. Greg Hampenkian. And Dr. Hampenkian is a bit of a notable local from Boise State University. And Dr. Hampenkian is a DNA expert. considered one of the best DNA experts. He's been involved and has significant work that he's done on both the defense and for the prosecution. He was involved and led the team with Amanda Knox in Italy that got her exonerated because of the DNA evidence.
So what are
He
we
has
talking about?
substantial experience.
About
And
what?
anybody or anyone who knows anything about DNA goes to Dr. Hampikian first.
Right?
Because he is the guy. And Dr. Hampikian is going to talk a little bit about the DNA evidence that's found on the scene. Dr. Hampikian is going to talk about.
He's going to talk about the DNA evidence that was found in Chad Daybell's backyard, buried by him in a grave digger fashion, perfectly laid out when he sent the text message saying he's burying the raccoons, everybody. This man's going to talk about that. So we don't know anybody or anything. We're a jury that knows nobody, but this is what we're going to talk about.
The fingerprint on the plastic that J.J. Vallow was discovered in was that of Alex Cox. Dr. Hampikian is going to talk about the hair sample that was found on the plastic of Alex Cox and that it was Lori Vallow.
Yes, we know.
Dr. Hampikian is going to talk about several, and I mean several other hairs that were found on the plastic of J.J. Vallow. But he's also going to say that there was no DNA evidence, no hair sample of Chad Daybell.
But it was in his backyard. In his backyard.
J.J. Vallow.
At his house, in his backyard.
You're then going to hear from Dr. Raven. Dr. Raven is a forensic pathologist. And she's going to talk a little bit about the circumstances surrounding Tammy Daybell. And what Dr. Raven is going to say is that there's no indication that this is either a homicide or any other crime, and that the only conclusion she could come to is you can't determine what the cause of death was. There's no way to determine it. Tammy Daybell was buried. You'll hear testimony about that.
And then exhumed.
And then a short time later, the police officers showed up and they dug her body up after she'd been buried.
Right.
After she was laid to rest.
I wonder why.
Continued after the body was pulled out of the ground and continued to examine it for whatever they were looking for. And what you're going to find is based on that, Dr. Raven's going to say you can't determine what the cause of death is. You're going to hear testimony from the Daybell children, from the children themselves.
Wow.
4 of the 5 children, I think. 3 or 4 of the 5 children.
Check your notes.
They're going to talk about their mother's health struggles. They're going to talk about their mother's use of various medicinal treatments that she would use, oils that she would put on her leg, medicine and different herbs that she would take, and that her mother was suffering from, a number of maladies, and that she would refuse to go see a doctor or get it treated. And Dr. Raven's going to enlighten you a little bit about some of the circumstances regarding Tammy Daybell. You're then going to hear from Patrick Eller. He's a forensic digital data examiner.
He's throwing out big names, everybody. He's got this DNA guy. He's got this, whatever he just said, examiner, whatever. He honestly doesn't know what he's doing. And it's very obvious that he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. The jury's probably confused. You guys are confused. And we all know this freaking case. So how is that even possible? This is going to be an interesting trial. I'm so glad I'm not covering it every single day.
And Patrick Eller is someone who has spent his life in the military working for various agencies, and we'll talk a little bit about that within the government to do data retrieval and data research. And he's going to talk a little bit about the phone records that are involved in this case.
Man.
He's going to specifically talk about the travels of Alex Cox, because you are going to hear testimony that Alex Cox went to Chad Daybell's property on the 9th of September.
Yeah.
You're going to hear that Alex Cox approached Chad Daybell's property 5 or 6 other times. You're going to hear testimony that Alex Cox was there on the 23rd. And you're going to hear where Alex Cox was in a number of other times and places in his whereabouts.
Cox?
His travels.
What?
For
What about
a 2.5 month period.
Cox?
And Patrick is going to, offer you some information and data to support all of that. And finally, you're going to hear from a forensic anthropologist.
Big
And his name is
names.
Eric Bartlink. And Mr. Bartlink is going to talk to you a little bit about the nature and
I wonder how he afforded all that, everybody. I just saw him on a hearing before this trial that said Chad Daybell was out of money and they couldn't pay for these experts. That's really weird.
the nature of how the remains of Tylee were burned. Eric Bartlink is going to talk to you a little bit about the lack of complete skeletal remains and why, when Tylee was dug down in the ground, there was not a complete set of skeletal remains. In fact, there were a number of pieces of that were missing.
Okay. Page 4.
You're going to hear a lot of evidence, and the judge has talked to us a little bit about not making a decision until you hear all of the evidence. And there's a specific jury instruction that talks about that. The jury instruction is, consider all the evidence. Listen to the instructions from the court on how you're to proceed. Listen to the arguments of the prosecuting attorney and the defense, and then and only then do you make your decision.
You're the defense, sir.
And at the conclusion of all that evidence, and at the conclusion of the judge's instructions, the arguments of both of the defense attorneys, I'm going to ask you folks to return the verdict not guilty. Thank you, folks. Thank you for your time.
That's his strategy, everybody. He's going to ask for a not guilty.
Not guilty was so under his voice.
That concludes the opening statement of the defense. Then this time we will.
So we have more interesting information here. Gisela's great. We're going to listen to her a little bit and then we'll hop off. I really just wanted to lighten things up today. We've been covering Madeline Soto. I've been talking with the representatives every day. They want me to go out there for the vigil. I'm going to cover the vigil live. Friday, I'm going to bring information about the vigil. And then tomorrow, we're going to do Sebastian Rogers again and some information and misinformation. And then we're going to listen to their interviews. So today, it's funny. This is not a funny case, but we're just watching all this dead air and lawyers that don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I figure I'd just come on, have some fun with the crime crew. I love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting me. I really do mean that. I dressed up today as deception detective because somebody asked me to. So I'm not going to do flips or cartwheels if you ask me to, but I thought this was doable. Let's listen to some more of this. Gisela's got this case down and she has the patience. I don't.
Commence with presenting evidence. I understand the state does have a first witness to call.
Let's just hear who it is.
Your Honor, the state is prepared. We had spoken with your clerk earlier. We thought we were going to have a brief sidebar.
Well, let's discuss our schedule and put there in sidebar. Sure.
John Prior doesn't
They're doing
understand.
sidebar. What we're going to do
Thank you.
at this moment is listen to the jury instructions. Some of you are going to be like, oh no, yes, we've got homework to do.
We're not going to do
we wanted to
homework
first
today.
watch the.
Let's go to this part. I'm not doing homework.
11623
Sorry.
State of Idaho.
Oh, we got to listen. No,
Tylee
we're not. We can't listen to that for an hour. Let's skip ahead.
It's on the playlist, and it was literally last week. We did 2 live streams to prepare for the trial. As you know, I'm only.
All right, you guys, we'll see who's who now in the case. I went over in the beginning, but not the way she did. You can see Lori Vallow's ugly face. Chad Daybell thinking he's cool with his storm after he got the Lori makeover, and then all the people that were killed in this tiny storm.
Only covering the trial with highlights and recaps, and so that we can also watch it at our own speed. You know what I mean? A little bit faster.
A lot faster
sometimes. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna put this on the screen. You can see Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell are in color. All the other people are in black and white because they are deceased. So look just how many people have died around those 2 people.
In the
Joe
storm.
Ryan was Lori Vallow's 3rd husband. She's had 5 husbands. She's still married to number 5, which is Chad Daybell. So weird. They're still married, but okay. Yeah, Stefan says, give the jurors your visuals. And so Tylee, on the top right-hand side of the screen, one of the victims who was buried in Chad Daybell's backyard but they don't know exactly how she died because she was dismembered and charred. The remains were charred.
So bad.
It's just, you'll hear throughout this trial some of those details. It's terrible. So that was the daughter of Lori Vallow and Joe Ryan.
Hard to even explain.
If I make any mistakes, let me know, because I'm trying my very best here as well to keep up with it. Okay, we've done our best all along. Mistakes do happen sometimes, but that is, as I can see it, Joe Ryan, Tylee, right?
Good.
Daughter.
Yep.
Okay, and then JJ, as Steel Guitar was asking, how is JJ related to them? So JJ was the son of Kay Woodcock's son.
This is hard.
But he was going through some struggles and couldn't.
I explained this earlier, but I talked really, really fast when I did it because I was like, Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, Charles Vallow, Alcock, JJ, Tammy Daybell. There's so many of them. And yes, notice the people in black and white are no longer alive, everybody. Those two people here, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, are alive. Lori Vallow is in jail, and she still thinks that Chad visits her in her cell. Chad is throwing her under the bus, and everybody else is dead.
Take care of him. So Kay and Larry Woodcock took care of JJ for some time. Then, at the time, Lori Vallow was married to Charles Vallow, hubby number 4, who was killed by her brother. Are we still following? You see, it's very...
It is.
And so Charles and Lori adopted JJ Vallow. But Charles, yes, as I say, was killed by Alex Cox. He was shot. We saw a body cam and all that from when, Alex was outside. And
I think that's the defense, everybody. The zombie from the dead came back and shot the kids and Tammy Daybell. Is that what we got out of it? I'm not even sure what the defense is at this point.
And all of that. We even saw his butt crack. Remember that? Do you remember? If you watched it with us? Oh, my word. When they were checking his hands and checking all the injuries and all that. So, Joe Ryan apparently died of a heart attack. I know there's some speculation there of, really? Are we sure? Then we've got Tylee was murdered. Charles murdered. Alex Cox died the day after saying, I hope I'm not their fall guy, and leaving some kind of duffel bag with cash in the closet for his wife, Zulema Pastines. And they said, no, he died of natural causes, but that's weird. And a day after, they said they're going to exhume Tammy Daybell's body.
I can use my pointer ruler, everybody. If you haven't heard of this case, it's insane that you haven't heard of this case and watched it over and over in different multiple places. But I'll try to highlight who she's talking about. It's really crazy. Yeah, there's Russian zombies, everybody. There's Russian zombies and people from Australia, and then there's raccoons and evil spirits climbing on the cabinets. It's just insane.
Body? It's all very strange. And then, of course, Charles and JJ Vallow. Okay, so does that... Someone does. Janet says, I do remember the butt crack. You do. Then you were there. You were definitely there. Just look at this.
It's a mess.
This is on my playlist. It's part of the part 1, 2, 3, and 4.
7.
Deep dive. Okay, and
12.
we went over this very slowly. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, don't worry. We all are. But I did go over this. Each person, who's who. Hope the arrows and things help. How do they connect? Lori's actually facing conspiracy to commit murder charges for Brandon Boudreaux's attempted murder and also for Charles Vallow's.
Yes, I wanted to tell you that now. Lori is in Arizona with some oceanfront property. Just kidding. Lori's in Arizona on trial, or she's going to go on trial for killing her ex-husband, the one that got shot, and her brother did it and she got away with it, and trying to kill Brandon Boudreaux. So it's just a mess, everybody. The bottom line is they killed a bunch of people and they're not getting away with it. Lori didn't, and Chad's not going to. With that weak, you just saw that weak defense. Nobody's going to get off on death penalty from that.
Conspiracy to commit murder. Okay? So enjoy the visual while we listen to the amended indictment.
Next, at this time, then, I am going to have the clerk read the amended and redacted indictment to you. Madam Clerk, if you're ready to read the amended indictment, please do that at this time.
In the District Court of the 7th Judicial District of the State of Idaho, and in for the county of Fremont. State of Idaho pleaded versus Chad
All
Daybell.
right, I can't listen to too much more of this. We want to do opening statements today, but you know what? I want you guys to see this video that Nate Eaton did. I really thought this was important. It's only like 3 minutes. I want you to see when Lori and Chud went to Hawaii after they killed the wife and the kids and got rid of everybody. The whole world was looking for the children. Susie Akers, you remember this? Everybody should remember this. And when people were looking for the kids and the world came together. All right, we watched the opening statements. Let's watch this.
I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com in Kauai, where Chad and Lori Daybell were served with 2 search warrants just hours ago. Law enforcement officers from Eastern Idaho, along with federal agents and the Kauai Police Department, pulled Lori and Chad over. They were driving a black SUV. They pulled into this resort where I am standing. They put Chad into one vehicle, Lori into another. That's when
Oh, man. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let's go back. I don't know what happened there. There we go. Where are the kids?
Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids? No comment? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Where are your children? Now, why don't you just give us a comment? Just tell us where they are. Chad, where are Lori's kids? What happened to Tammy, Chad? Can you tell us what happened to Tammy? Why have you guys been in Hawaii for so long? Listen, just tell people what's happening. There's people around the country praying for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
That's great. That's great that they're praying for you, praying for your kids. What?
That's next.
You have nothing to say?
Look at those people.
Did you do something to your children?
Yeah, they're in the
Are your
backyard.
children still alive?
Nope.
That's a simple question. I've got 3 kids of my own. I can tell you every minute where my kids are at. Where are your children? What do you guys plan to do now? Are you have 5 days to get your children in front of a judge in Rexburg, then what?
They're not there.
Are you guys innocent of any crimes? Have you committed any crimes?
Horrible
Chad, you guys have a lot to say on your podcast. You don't have anything to say now? Lori? Do you believe that you were instructed by God or others to do something for your children? If you could give a message to them, what would you say? Listen, if you just talk to us, we'll leave you alone.
Family's worried. Tammy's family's very worried.
Tammy's family's very worried. Lori, your mother, Kay, came out. Kay and Larry, they're offering a $20,000 reward for your children. And you're over here on the beach?
Yes, sir.
This is your chance to tell your story. Nothing you want to say? One last chance right here. Anything you want to say to the people in Idaho?
Nope. Nothing. Shit. Says a lot in
Lori,
court.
you have a lot of cash there in your baggie. Were you guys planning to leave Hawaii? Were you planning to take off? And with that, Chad and Lori darted into this resort, and they still have not come out. Now, police have not said what they are searching for in that SUV or in their home. But one thing that was not found is Lori's children. JJ and Tylee are still missing. Tomorrow, we will have much more from Hawaii. For now, I'm Nate Eaton reporting for EastIdahoNews.com.
Thank you, Nate. We love you. And you know what? The media did more than the actual law enforcement at first. The law enforcement didn't get involved until not just Nate Eaton, but the Woodcocks. Larry and Kay Woodcock said, where are the children? That's where this came from. This whole thing came from them questioning where the children were. So we're going to watch the poolside now and watch what happens. All right, let's watch what happens after this, everybody. When they didn't want to tell where the children were. You can't just do that. You can't just let your kids go missing, everybody. If you learn a lesson from them, there it is.
How's it going? Are you tagging, Lori? Mr. Vallow, sir.
Do you have any questions regarding that?
29 hours on January 25th.
You think Lori's going to levitate everybody? She looks like she might just lift off the chair.
Any questions?
You have any questions for that? No? Okay.
All right. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Wow, right? You see that? Wow, this is Lori Daybell's sister. So I'm going to pull this up because at first her family backed her up and now they don't. So if you want to watch this with me for a little bit longer, stay here, chill out, let's laugh. If there's something funny or if there's something sad, we'll be sad about it. Let's listen to Lori Daybell's sister break her silence about the sentencing and what happened with Lori Vallow. We're here, might as well.
With Summer Shiflett, who Summer, I'm sure it's a lot to process today. Let me just get your reaction first of all, your family's reaction, your reaction to the sentence.
This is Lori Vallow's sentencing. If you go back to my video, you'll see the Lori Vallow. You'll see a playlist called Colts, and you'll see Lori Vallow got sentenced, and you'll see what she says at her sentencing. Now, here's Lori's family, her sister's reaction, and Nate Eaton again.
Today of your sister.
So this is the result that we basically have been expecting since June 9th of 2020. My mom have talked about it at length many, many times. So we knew that this was the most likely outcome the day they found the kids.
Were you surprised that Lori got life in prison, or was it something that you said you were kind of expecting it? Any surprises today?
Not a surprise on the sentence. I mean, it's very bittersweet because that's my sister. So it's hard to know that that's the result, but I also understand it and understand that justice was served for Tylee, JJ, and Tammy today. It's not what I want for her, but it's also fair.
What were your thoughts when Lori gave her statement? It's the first time, I mean, you've talked with her occasionally over the past few years, from what I understand, but first time the public has really heard from her. And what were your thoughts as she spoke about her I guess version of events or her what she believes?
She still believes
I've
that.
known she's been in this delusion for a while. It took me a long time to accept that and understand what was going on. I knew something was off from the beginning, but I didn't know what. And I had never seen anybody with a delusional disorder before. I didn't know how to process that or what.
So Lori was diagnosed. You guys were asking earlier. She's still in a delusion. They diagnosed her with delusional disorder. She's still in that. She still thinks Chad visits her and they have these talks and she's going to walk through the walls of the prison one day and be free.
It looked like. So now that I've had more experience with it, that's about typical of most conversations. It's about her faith, and you'll see one day there's never any acknowledgement of what actually happens. You can't ever really get any answers. So it leads to just kind of frustrating situations.
So what you heard, so sorry to cut you off. What you heard today, what was so alarming to so many of, what is she talking about? You're used to. This is the Lori you've known. Is that what you're saying?
No, not the Lori I've known. No, she was not like this before. I mean, this didn't start, I think her delusional disorder probably, if we, we've kind of backtracked it back to maybe late 2017, that maybe that started, maybe early 2018 that it started. But she wasn't talking like this then. There were some religious things, but she was cherry picking what she shared with each member of the family. So it took us a long time to come together and like all talk about what we knew and what she had told each one of us. And we all got different versions. So it wasn't ever like a consistent, like everyone got the same exact information. The things today, there were some things today I hadn't heard before. I'd never heard, she's never once told me that she had the near-death experience when she was giving birth to Tylee and left her body and saw my sister Stacy. That has never been talked about ever by her with us.
Hmm.
So there were some things
Yeah.
that were new to me today, but there were also things that I knew to be true that she was saying, like Tylee's time in the hospital with pancreatitis and her abuse by her father and things like that that I was aware of.
I see. I guess I should have clarified as far as you're used to her talking like this over the past few years when you've had these
Yes.
jailhouse calls. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Summer, I wanted to ask you, you submitted a letter to the judge, a victim impact statement that
Mhm.
you didn't want read publicly. And there was some discussion as to why you didn't come to speak, or why you didn't want the judge or the prosecutor to read a letter. Can you address that?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't able to make it there in person today, and I didn't really want to have it read in by somebody else. And I know from my own experience of talking, like writing to Lori or talking to Lori. I mean, I tried really hard. I begged her not to go to trial to begin with and not put everybody and herself through that. I
There
mean,
you
I
go.
tried everything to like reason with her even ahead of the trial. And I've known from my experience that she's not open to hearing what I'm saying.
So she may be calculating and all of that. I believe she's calculating too, but something in her mind snapped a bit. She definitely did not turn on Chad. He's turning on her, and neither one of them really should have went to trial. I mean, the kids were missing and they found them in the backyard with lots of evidence. So I'm going to gift some memberships right now. So stay on here. I appreciate these small groups. I get to talk to you, and it's just a fun day. I'm not feeling like I'm rushed or under pressure.
She's not responsive to the things I'm saying. She's just doing what is in her mind that's real and right, in her delusion. And so for me, I knew anything that I said there was going to fall on deaf ears for her. I wanted the judge to know how I felt, and it was for the judge's purposes in doing his sentencing and his position. I wanted him to know how I felt, but I want to share about Tylee and JJ. I adore them. I miss them, and I want the world to know them. I've had a very difficult couple of years of just trying to mentally grasp what's happened and trying to take care of myself and my family, seeking counseling and different avenues to try to heal, and try to stay kind of out of the public eye for the most part, the best that I could, because it's a very difficult thing to navigate when you've never been through anything like this before. So I want to share about Tylee and JJ. They were awesome.
What would you say about them? What would your statement be if you could give a statement on behalf of them?
I'm happy to share a statement that my mom and I talked about, if you'd like to hear it. And so I just want to say too, the statements given today were absolutely beautiful. I learned a lot about Tammy's family, and our hearts break for their family. And we also understand what they've gone through with like their division and things like that in their family. So I just want them to know, like their family and all of the families that have been affected by this, that they all have our deepest condolences and sympathies, and we grieve with you, and are so sorry for the losses of everybody and the pain that everybody's gone through. I think I sent you some pictures of Tylee and JJ if you want to share those.
Yeah.
So sad, everybody.
Well,
It
words
really
can't
is.
do her justice. The beautiful Tylee that we know and love shines through our poor attempts to honor her. Tylee Ashley Ryan was born September 24th, 2002, making her my almost birthday twinner, as I was born September 23rd, but I was born at 11:55 p.m., so we were really close. She was a tiny baby, a little over 5 pounds. She had beautiful dark blonde hair. She lived in a different state than I did, so I didn't get to see her nearly enough, but when I did see her, she was a happy baby with beautiful pink cheeks, fierce blue eyes, and her hair had lightened to a soft golden blonde. Tylee was extremely bright and learned how to do everything. She rolled over, she walked, she talked, she read, and many other things earlier than expected. She was a darling, bright baby who laughed easily, but she laughed the hardest at Colby, who entertained her 24/7. And Tylee was a little.
So right now we're going to remember the children, everybody. And then after this, let's listen to the jail call between Lori's sister and Lori. It's only about 11 minutes, and listen how delusional she is. And then we'll wrap it up. I appreciate you all for being here with me. And, it's a real chill day for everybody.
Little mermaid. I remember visiting her at the age of 2, almost 3, and she got in the pool with no floaties and swam all around the pool. She was just amazing. I have never seen another child swim that early. But she loved the water, and she and Colby would swim as early as February when the water was too cold for everyone else, and swim into the later winter months. And then later in life, Tylee also patiently helped teach JJ to learn how to swim when they lived in Hawaii. Tylee was extremely clever, witty, and hilarious as a little girl, even from a young age. She adored her older brother, Colby, like no other. Tylee's mother had a hair salon built into the house, and Tylee saw her mom working on lots of clients. Tylee loved to get into her mother's chair and get her hair done like a big girl. Tylee had a happy life and a hard life. She was adored by her immediate family, especially her big brother, Colby, who saw her birth as the first step to Texasizing their family. Her hardships included her father's abuse of her and 7 episodes of pancreatitis, an extremely painful disease. Each time she had an attack, she was in the hospital for 10 days and would have been longer if Lori had not advocated for Tylee with her doctors. We all went to visit her through each attack and did all we could to show her love and support. Lori did the most. She spent every night with her each time and would not eat in front of her since she could not eat or drink for at least 8 days of her stay. Tylee loved Lori more than anyone. And Lori was right there to help her with her schoolwork so she wouldn't get behind, coming up with fun things that she could do and arranging visits from school friends. Lori's dedication as a mother was undeniable. Tylee was a straight-A student most of her life. She did a science project that won a prize on tsunamis. She had a beautiful singing voice and was a very talented dancer. It was easy to see that she was a natural-born performer, and we loved watching her shows.
So cute.
Tylee learned to do expert makeup and loved trying new hairstyles. On a side note, I will forever miss hugging Tylee and smelling her hair. It always felt so good and was so soft.
So sad.
Tylee was very artistic. She could draw, design, do calligraphy, and also had an incredible eye for photography. Her photographs are some of our most precious treasures, especially the beautiful pictures she took of little JJ. Tylee was funny, kind, but she could also be bitingly sarcastic. She really came into her own when she turned 16. She tested out of high school at college-ready levels in every subject, and she got her driver's license.
And she also had an attitude with her mom, and she didn't like Chad, and so she then became a dark spirit, everybody. There's so much into this case. There's so much depth. I'm not even touching the depth of this, but honestly, Chad, he started this whole dark spirit and raiding them, and Tylee was one of the ones on the list. He wanted to get rid of the children because he didn't have any to raise, and he didn't want to deal with that. Hence why all of the children, Colby got lucky. The little boy on the left was lucky. He had already moved out of the house.
And she took a job with my husband's chiropractic office for her first job. She had a great interest in physical therapy and enjoyed her short time working with patients. She was so cute, wearing her scrubs proudly every working day. And to celebrate and honor all of these accomplishments, we did an all-girls big celebration for her. We had so much fun, and we were so thrilled to celebrate all her little accomplishments. One of the most precious memories I have is the night Tylee spent at my house when Riley was born. I will never forget her beautiful little face and the huge tears in her gorgeous blue eyes that rolled down her slightly pink cheeks, and watched her shake with emotion when Colby texted her a picture of her first little niece. She said, "She is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." It was instant love. It hurts my heart so much that Riley and Ava will be deprived of being spoiled and played with by the most loving aunt they could ever have. I know how much Tylee adored Colby and JJ. I wasn't able to witness her relationships with her stepbrothers, Cole and Zach, but I know her love and respect for them was present. And when Charles was shot, she was the one who pushed her mother to tell them. Tylee was also responsible for tracking down the kennel that Charles had placed Bailey in when he left Houston so that they could bring him home. Tylee was a devout member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She had great faith in her Savior, Jesus Christ. She loved the Young Women's Program. She went to the temple frequently. The first time my daughter went through the temple, Tylee walked her through everything and was so sweet and patient with her.
And
Tylee and my oldest son were only a year apart and had so much fun.
And she backed her mom, everybody. She was there when Charles Vallow was killed, and she backed her mom in the interview. And Lori got away with it. Alex got away with it. She really did have her mom's back. I don't understand why Lori did that. I know why Chad did it, but I don't understand why Lori did it.
Together, they spoke fluent sarcasm together and were such good friends. My youngest son is Tylee's namesake, and he loved to banter with Tylee. My children also love JJ and will ever be deprived of their special friendships with their cousins. Tylee was sensitive, thoughtful, considerate, humble, generous, caring, and tough. She would have been the best mother. She loved children. Her favorite color was bright blue. She called it the color of Hawaii. Her favorite dessert was a no-bake cheesecake. I have yet to be able to make one without completely breaking down as I think of that precious girl. Tylee loved the shows The Office and Friends and The Bachelor and others. She loved music. She loved her friends and had so many fun times with them. Her friends truly loved Tylee and will have to live with this enormous hole in their hearts and confusion as to why they had to lose their friend. Tylee loved her mother above all and was protected by her mother most of her life. We know that only the severe mental illness that her mother has would be stronger than a mother's love. Tylee and JJ both.
Okay, now I see the narrative on the sister. She's trying to blame it on the mental illness. And I agree, Carly. I think she's more calculating than that. And she wants the world to think that the mental illness got her and she didn't do that, that she couldn't have done that. Otherwise, I don't think she could live with herself. Yeah, I don't think so.
Both wanted to be with their mother more than anyone else. But after Lori met Chad Daybell, Tylee and sweet little JJ were served up on a platter like a lamb to the slaughter. There is no sense, logic, or explanation that will ever be satisfactory in their murders. The world would have been a better place with Tylee in it. The world would have been a better place with JJ in it. We will always be grief-stricken over her both of their untimely deaths, and we are beyond sad that they were betrayed by the very mother they loved. There are no excuses for Lori's actions regarding Tylee and JJ, but we do see that she is mentally ill. It's such a tragedy that this beautiful, bright girl and most precious little boy were murdered, but that in no way reflects on the wonderful people that they were and the many contributions they were poised to make in this world.
Yeah, no excuse, everybody. Never an excuse. Let's stop this. And I'm back. We're going to listen to the last thing, and it's the jail call, everybody. And it's her talking to her delusional sister, which is really weird because, yeah, I think Carly's right. Now, if you're cooking or doing something, you could just listen to this. It's just a phone call from jail. Let's listen to it together, and then we will say good night. I'm going to play it a little faster, so let's see how that sounds.
Hi. How are you? Not good. And how are you? Not good. I don't know what to say. You're not my job. I'm willing to listen if you want to talk to me. I just don't know what to say.
That's Lori's sister.
I don't know what anybody knows. I've been in isolation for 2 weeks, so I don't know anything that's going on. I haven't talked to anyone.
Okay, so this is the jail call. I don't think it's after conviction, but it's when the sister's trying to figure out what happened to the kids. Oh, let's listen.
Well, they know that they found Tylee buried in a pet cemetery.
There it is.
And JJ buried on Chad's backyard.
This is right after they found the kids buried in Chad's backyard, and then they tied the two together, and Lori was already in jail when they found the kids in the backyard.
And we don't understand how that happened or why. Can you tell us?
So sad.
They were devastated. Did you know they were there?
Silence, everybody.
Can't talk about it. I don't know what to say, Lori. I mean, you know how much I love you and Alex was sick to my stomach. I didn't think anything would, you would ever let anything happen to the kids.
This is not Lori Vallow crying, everybody. This is her sister, Summer Shiflett, crying. So I don't think this is, well, this is not fake. But if you guys are talking about Lori and her mental illness, probably this is the sister just finding out their kids were dead in the backyard, in Chad's backyard.
He's going to be thrown away like garbage. He can't even let it. It's too painful.
It's not Lori.
Do you think I let that happen? Yes, I do. That's nice. Is there another explanation? I'm willing to hear it. I don't want it to get absolutely, but I can't talk about it. You went off to Hawaii and were dancing on the beach while your kids are in the ground? You had to have known when they were there. I just can't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. I want to believe the best in you. I really do. I love you with all my heart. It fills me. But they were just little kids. I don't understand. I don't understand. You know me, Summer. That's what I thought. You cut me and Mom off for 4 months and told everyone not to trust us because we tell Adam. And now we find this out and you expect me to just keep going on faith when there's been zero explanation and you expect me to just keep believing without ever having a question? I didn't say that. That is what you're saying. Either explain it or don't expect me to not be upset and doubt you when the kids are on Chad's property. I'm okay. I love that with all my heart. I would have taken Tylee and JJ in a heartbeat, and everybody else would have too. You know that. If they were in any danger. No idea what happened. You're right. Nobody does because you said nothing. Because everybody sees what's on TV. That has nothing to do with TV. This is when you're in my conversations before you left and cut me off. And now you expect me to be there for you, and you were going to abandon me. And if you weren't in jail, you wouldn't even be talking to me, and we wouldn't even know they were dead still.
Damn. Yeah.
This is your opinion. Yes. I deserve more than that. I've been there for you like a rock, and I went on TV and defended you. I've done everything to defend you, and I still would right now if you would tell me the truth.
Nothing.
I would have loved to. Well, then, loved to. You didn't want to in October, November, December, January, or February when you weren't in jail. Why didn't you tell us then? Why you didn't call me when Alex died, which now I'm glad he's gone and he was a part of this, but you didn't call to tell me Alex died or that your kids are gone? Nothing?
Damn.
You don't think that's going to cause pain throughout our entire family?
Nope, she didn't think about that.
Well, you don't think I'm in pain? No, I don't. I think you were dancing on the beach having a great time, getting married. And you took pictures to prove your kids don't deserve a burial, but you need to get wedding pictures? You don't think that's upsetting? Nobody knows. I'm sorry, honey. Then nobody knows except for you and the Lord. Yeah, ask him. I have. And guess what? I don't have one scripture that says it's okay for children to be thrown away like garbage in the ground. And that's okay. There is nothing in the scriptures that is godly about hurting a child. Nothing. And they deserve a proper burial with family that loves them at the least.
At the least.
Support that. That's hurtful to everyone. That's the most selfish, incredibly selfish thing I can think of. I can't think of anything worse.
Nope.
I don't understand. I don't understand. This is not my Vallow. I'm not in love. I've never even seen you be upset with your kids. I went to bat for you and said that to everyone. I never have been upset with them. I never have been.
She's laughing. Lori Vallow.
Just go on without them, without any upsetness, and without telling us anything, and then expect us to understand. No one knows in the world. Nobody in the world knows what I've been through. And I don't expect you to. All you see is what's on TV. No, that's not what he says. And all the influences of all the people around. Okay, so now I'm deceived. No, everyone in the world is deceived except for you. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that. I'm saying nobody's seen me on the floor crying. Nobody knows what I've been through. With my children that I love more than anything.
You put them there.
Lori, fine. You were dancing on a beach with a smile on your face, taking wedding photos. Yeah, months later.
Months. That means she knows when it happened.
Trying to go on with life, trying to be happy, trying to find some kind of happiness. You think I went to
What?
be alone? Do you think that your mother and your sister and your son don't deserve to know that the children are gone?
Months later. How do you know when it happened? What?
Why wouldn't you call and tell us that?
Did you hear that, everybody?
Why were we cut off? You saying you want to go on and be happy? You're just going to be happy without your family and your life until you're stuck in jail and I'm the only one stupid enough to be your friend when I've been your best supporter, Lori. I've loved you my whole life. I still do. I can't bear to think anything bad about you. It hurts me. I don't want to see you in jail. I don't want you to be there. I don't want people to misunderstand. If you would tell me the truth, I would stand up for you for the rest of the time. You know that I would. I know you would. But there is nothing okay about this. Nothing. I know. If you think
I know you all heard that. And she said it was months later that she got married. How the heck does she know when the children exactly went missing and how many months later it was when she got married. She could only know that if she had done it herself. I never heard this part of it. I heard the whole call, but I never caught that. Wow. I'm glad she's in bars, everybody. She doesn't give two shits about her kids. She's still pining over Chad at this point. She hasn't gone to trial, and she does not throw him under the bus ever.
It's okay. Well, you have greatly been deceived if you think this is okay. Nothing about this is okay, Lori. Summer. We have all read the scriptures. I know you've told me about a lot of your spiritual experiences. You know I'm trying to support you in all of them. But I am telling you, because I love you with all my heart, please consider that Chad has lied and been deceived, and that you have been deceived, and that this is not what you think it is. There's nothing okay about killing children. Nothing. And even if you didn't kill them, and Chad didn't kill them, and Alex didn't kill them, you threw them away like garbage in the ground. Tylee's both are burned. I can't have you guys and threw her in a pet cemetery. You know that's so degrading. How can you let them do that? I don't understand. It's so painful. I can't even tell you.
Damn. So sad.
I don't know what else to say, but please consider that you have been deceived. That is not Christ-like. There's nothing good in that. There's nothing good in that. That's not a test for you.
No. Killing kids is not in the scriptures.
And they were loved, and they didn't deserve to be treated that way. You loved them their whole life and took care of them their whole life. So why would you let them be buried that way? I didn't. Well, then come up with an explanation publicly.
Damn. All right. That was hard. That was rough, everybody. That was we went from being silly and joking around about the bad opening statement. And then we went to that. Yeah, it's heartbreaking, everybody. And that was as close to a confession until she was convicted, and she talked about accidents and overdoses and all that stuff. When she said that, that was just, she knew exactly what happened. And throughout all this, I knew that she knew. We all knew she knew. And yeah, I never heard that before. But I appreciate everyone being here today. It's a low-key day. I'll let you guys know when I'll be back. I might be back tomorrow. I don't know. I'll be back Friday for sure. And then Saturday streaming the Madeline Soto Vigil. I hope you guys are there. I'm streaming it from the people that are running this thing. So we're going to have exclusive footage to the vigil. It's going to be sad, but it's happening in Florida for Madeline Soto. Everybody that's following the case, you should be at the vigil with us. It's 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's going to be 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everybody should be there. It's amazing. And yes, Satan was their god. They didn't even realize it. I don't think. I don't know. I don't know what I don't understand any of this stuff. You're welcome. Linda, Sadie's mama, Carly, thank you for modding. You're the best mod. You're always going to be the best mod. I'm glad nobody else took you. Well, you mod for a few other people, but I'm glad that we have you. I'm so appreciative of you and the entire crime crew. I couldn't do this without you guys. Carly, thank you. Have a good night, crime crew, and everybody here.
You are about to enter a world of true crime. From cold cases to serial killers, missing persons, guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?